Hi, if you landed on this video, you're probably interested in building a solar kayak like I am. And I'm going to walk you through my experience doing this. Now, if you look at other videos, you'll probably find out people will be saying it's not worth it, and it just isn't worth all the hassle, and you can never get enough power. And there's, some of that is true, but I've just determined it really depends on your use case. And I have a very specific use case. I am not a fisherman, so I'm not trying to go fishing with this. I'm actually going to be going exploring in Lake Powell and getting deep into the lakes. And if you're familiar with Lake Powell, it's got almost 2,000 miles of shoreline, so it's a bit much to paddle. So here we go. We're going to build a solar kayak so that I can zoom into the places I want to get to, and then I can take the motor off and the solar panel off, and explore by paddling the kayak. First thing, the kayak. I bought a fishing kayak. Now, I bought this kayak for a couple of reasons. My criteria in this design is it has to be portable. I have to be able to do everything myself. Therefore, it has to be small enough and lightweight. It has to be stable while I'm under power and when I'm sitting and just paddling. It has to be able to go farther and longer than a typical kayak might, because I want to get to the back areas of Lake Powell, deep into the canyons. And I just can't do that by paddling, so this kayak, this is a Pelican Catch 100. Yeah, there's the tag on it. So the battery goes up front. It is pre-wired, which is great for my application, and it has a transom on the back, which is a huge thing because most kayaks do not have an engine mount built in. And my research suggested it's kind of a challenge to mount an engine on or a small motor even on most kayaks. So this one seemed to fit the bill really well. Small, portable, stable, ready for power. The only thing, it obviously isn't ready for solar power. So I wanted to mount the solar panel on here. Now, up front here is a battery storage area, and I'm also going to be storing tent and sleeping bag, food, that type of thing strapped up there. My feet and body are going to go here. That leaves this area back here available for a solar panel. This is my thought process anyway. So I said, great. All I need to do is get some dowel and put some dowel in here, and I'll mount the panel right up here on top. This will be great. Well, I soon learned that these rod holders really are not designed to hold a lot of force. Rods are pretty light, and maybe with a little wind it's okay, but I quickly decided this wasn't going to be enough, and I needed to come up with some other kind of support system for this panel, because the panel, when it's all mounted up and with the hardware and everything, is close to 30 pounds. And on a rocking boat, elevated like this, there's going to be a lot of torque at these joints here where it meets the boat. So, all right. Well, in the end, here's what I came up with. I'll jump to the chase here. So I end up with 2 dowels on each side, and then I have straps that will attach from the panel down to a handle here, and another strap that attaches down here. Now, why did I do that? Well, it's all about this controlling the torque on this joint. So basically what I'm doing is making the force vector through the tension of those straps push straight down here, not twist or go on any kind of angle there, because that's what stresses the boat. All right, here is my Renogy solar power package. Now, I put this together myself. They sell some great starter kits and so forth, but I'm an engineer, so I just kind of like to play around with this stuff, and I decided to build it myself. I got a specific panel that is a 115 watt panel, and it's a bifacial panel, which means it can collect power from both sides of the panel. So primarily the front side, but it'll also pick up reflected solar energy off the bottom of the panel, which I figured would be spectacular on a lake. So what I'm trying to do here is maximize the amount of power I can take without putting on too much weight or taking up too much space on the kayak. Now, ideally, I would have 2 of these on my kayak, but as we'll see, that's a bit of a challenge. But I found that one, especially a nice one, high efficiency one like this, will probably suffice for me. I bought a lithium battery. I decided to go with lithium because you can drain it below 50% without worrying about it. Basically, I believe I'm going to get longer range, longer life, and more reliable power source. So it's definitely a price increase, but I felt it was worth it for my application. The battery's also lighter, which is going to be important in my project. Okay, the last thing you need, you can see it there, there's a device here, but that's the battery charge controller. You definitely need one with these between the solar panel and the battery. I learned a lot about solar energy doing this. Maybe that's another video. Okay, so this is going to go in the boat. Now the question is, how are we going to mount this panel into this boat? We'll do that next. Okay, first thing, we're going to mount this solar panel, but the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get these tension straps ready, because once I get this up here, I'm going to need to apply the tension pretty quick so that I don't stress the system. So I've just hooked it up here, leave it sit. I'll do the same with the rest of them. Okay, now I'm going to mount the solar panel. This is the tricky part. To get it set up, I have to guide the dowel. There we go. All right, now, if I let this go, these fishing rod holders are going to experience a lot of stress. So I don't want to let it go. I'm holding it up here. I'm going to start applying the tension straps. This is where it would be great to have 2 people doing this, but it can be done by yourself. All right, and then I can kind of play around with the tension here until I can see that I'm not putting too much stress here. But either way, I'm going to put too much stress there. So I got a couple other items here to kind of finish off the system. These are real simple. They're just extendable poles they're actually boat cover poles. Put these on for flotation in case they fall off my boat. So I use these as braces. These just give me one extra kind of set of upward pressure to keep the forces off. So from here I can start tensioning and tweaking the system until I see that there's no heavy stress on those rod holders and I'm ready to go. Okay, the last step here is going to be putting on the motor. So it's very simple, 55 thrust Newport Kayak electric trolling motor. I did have to buy a connector and I added it on, so it's this 3-pronged DC connector, which is unique to the Pelicans, and everybody seems to have their own, unfortunately, their own little connectors and so forth. So, and that connector gets plugged into the pre-wiring in the boat. But once I mount that, plug it in, get it in the water, connect all the wiring, which is all plug and play, this is ready to go. And the next thing, I'll show you some scenes on the water. Okay, the Maiden voyage, here we are. Making some decent time on Bartlett Lake. Oh, a little bit of a breeze and some, not big waves, but they're actually kind of dying down. It was worse a minute ago, but it's doing pretty well. Getting a little splash over the bow, but other than that, it's all pretty stable. A little concerned about the stress here, and you know, something as well. But get the feel for it. Other than that, I'm pretty impressed. This solar panel system is working out better than I thought. All right, let's do a little wrap up here. So I set out to build my solar powered kayak because I wanted to extend my range and do multi-day backcountry kayaking, if you will. And I don't want to have to bring extra fuel or extra batteries to do it. So solar power was a good choice for my application. It's also quieter and less stinky, let's face it. I enjoy the electric, the sound of an electric motor than to a power motor anytime. And also, frankly, I like the DIY project, so this was a lot of fun for me. I learned a lot, and I am looking forward to some other projects similar to this and take what I've learned from it. There's lots of options here. I could have, if you look around in this space, you'll probably see the Bixby little kind of small kayak paddleboard engine. I think that's promising technology. It just didn't really fit my application. It still doesn't have the range I'm going to need, and it didn't have the speed I needed or wanted. So I went with the Newport kayak trolling motor. Was great. Dealing with Newport was real nice. The purchase was easy. The customer service was great. I have no financial relationship with these companies. I don't get any kickbacks or anything from this. Just sharing my experience with them. The Pelican Catch 100, Power 100, nice boat. The one I bought was in very bad shape. It was new, but it had been sitting out and lots of sun exposure and damage. So I had to do some rehabbing, which meant I had to interact with the Pelican company. And that was okay, not great, I have to admit, but it wasn't bad. So it was a good, I'm happy with that purchase as well. The battery and solar power system, Renogy, was a great company to deal with. They kind of specialize in this portable solar space, so that worked out real well. In retrospect, it would have been easier if I got lighter panels that are more portable, but I would have given up some efficiency in that case. So this is kind of a trade-off I made. But you saw how much I struggled with the getting the panel elevated, because it's a 30-pound arrangement that I came up with versus what could have been maybe a 10-pound if I'd gone with the lighter versions. In the end, though, here's the result. So I figure I can go 2.5 hours full speed. Now, I don't need to go full speed very often, but if I really want to make some time, I can do it. And I'll burn up my 100 amp battery in that 2.5 hours, but then I can recharge at 6 amps, around 6.5 amps I'm getting out of the panel when it's positioned well. So at lower speeds, I could go all day without having to do anything. And the way I plan on doing this trip is I'll be on the water sometimes and I'll be on the shore other times, where it's just going to sit and power the panel on its own, so I'm not going to be drawing energy. I think this is going to work great. To be determined, although I'll send out another video if this trip goes well. Last things about the one other thing I'm going to probably add is the PWM Pulse width modulation controller, which helps control the battery, the energy that's being drawn to the trolling motor, and would give me more efficiency on that side and give me some longer range. So I'll probably play with that next. But boy, other than that, I'm pleased. I hope this works. Fingers crossed. I'll talk to you after Lake Powell. Thanks.